Well, tonight we're looking at the first half of James chapter 3 and the taming of the tongue. And to remind you, I hope you've already wrestled with the passage and look at it, because we're not going to so much go into the passage as talk about perhaps how to apply it into our lives. Now, this is one of those passages in James that you actually can understand very easily. I doubt anyone can read this and not say, okay, I understand how powerful the tongue is and how difficult it is to tame. And I want to encourage you to even ponder that a little bit more, because the power God has placed in our tongue is actually fairly stunning. I mean, the fall of the world happened because a temptation was made through something that was said through the tongue. We are saved, he says, because we confess with our mouth a belief and place our faith in something. You know, when you share your faith with someone else, you're actually taking words and that's going into that person's mind and heart and changing his eternity and his whole being just through words. It's with words you comfort and strengthen people, that you can actually build them up and it motivate them to do amazing things through words you say. Or they might hear words and learn things from those. But the same way, you can say harsh things and cruel things which can stay inside people's mind. How many people are in counseling now processing the words that were said to them as children? And so I think we should I think it's really helpful to not underestimate and to really go, wow, look at the gravity of the power that's in the words that I say, that's in my tongue. And don't let it, and I don't think we should be fearful about it, but realize when we speak, we're wielding something of tremendous power, for good or for evil. And so as we think about how to apply that to our lives, realize what we're wielding. In one sense, to be an encourager, you see the power of that, to walk around and strengthen people and comfort them and to affirm them has incredible power. You think, how do I do that? How do I start to use my mouth to build people up? But I know many of us are thinking on the negative side, how do I stop myself from saying the things I don't want to say? And that's part of the fall, and even as the scriptures say, you can't tame the tongue. But I think for each of us, thinking about when we fail is really helpful. When have you said things you haven't wanted to say? See if there's some sort of pattern. Is there some kind of context in which it happens? Is it when you're tired? Is it when you feel yourself starting to get irritated? It's really good to be aware of that so you stop yourself before it comes out of your mouth. Because while it remains thoughts in your mind, it's not nearly as damaging. But once it comes out, you can't get it back. So it's really good to think about, when do I say those things? How do I say those things? Now, as you go into your discussion, as you try to think about those situations, when you deal with this topic, you are going to feel guilty, most of us, thinking about all the things we'd said and wish we hadn't said. And something, it's not about guilt. And our faith is not about what happened yesterday, it's about what happens tomorrow. And what the person we're going to become. And so don't forget and pretend all those things. What we do as Christians, we confess it to God. He saw it, He knew it. We don't ignore it. We don't pretend it didn't happen. We don't fall into condemnation over it. Instead, we give it to God. Perhaps as a group, spend some quiet time processing that, confessing to God in quiet, and asking for His forgiveness, which we know we have through Jesus. Hey, have a great discussion tonight.